So hey friends, welcome to this week's video. If you were here last week, you know that I was going to promise the Nuraloop review. However, upon further consideration, I'm going to delay that a week. I just haven't had enough time to really put the paces on those headphones in just a week. I definitely was able to talk through, fit, function, sound, but I wasn't able to do any sort of comparisons of the mics. You work out with it, run it through conferences, and really test out all the different features. So I didn't want to shortchange the review and I want to make sure that there's a full perspective on it. Additionally, they had some overheating issues with the cables. I haven't personally had it, but they are going to send a new cable to everyone who got a Nuraloop. So I want to try to give it some time and see if that comes in time as well. But if it doesn't, then I'll still release the video next week anyway. But for this video, again, I want to make sure that I'm staying weekly, so some of these times it's just going to have to be commentary, and this is probably what this video is going to be about. So I guess to make sure that there's some kind of content here, I'm going to do a tech retrospective around the human headphones. And they're an interesting company because they came out with something like in 2016 in terms of an idea. There were some pretty elaborate commercials, and I don't think they released until like 2019. So, they came out with not the greatest reviews, but I think it's interesting to see where they came from and what they tried to do. So I think I want to go into like sort of that journey in terms of like how were they developed, what were the things they promised, as well as get some, color commentary on the different commercials that they came out with. So sorry again, no Nuraloop this week, but if you want to stick out with me, we'll be going over the human headphones. Why'd this company have to start in my city? So yes, this company started in Seattle. Lovely. Anyway, they came out in 2015 with quite a bit of fanfare on the idea. They were able to get some decent names behind them to at least get the foundation started. And as they gained more money, they gained more interest as well as backing by big companies. So they started off with the VP of product design at T-Mobile, obviously good, and then also the VP of engineering from Microsoft Zune. So obviously this was a very design focused product with its sleekness looking, its skipping stone looking interface. But Zune probably wouldn't be the first place I'd go, because that product was just like and then it got destroyed. So anyway, things aside, obviously they proceeded with that. I mean, in 2015 they were able to get $700,000 in funding, and that included people like Apple and Amazon. So obviously there was some legs to the interest. I mean, at the time, 2015, I don't believe there were any true wireless headphones that were really solid. Most of them were still wired together, or you had the traditional headphone design. So these coming out of left field with an in-ear, over-ear design, and also coming as a true wireless, is something huge, something that has never been seen before, and obviously those companies saw the innovation behind it. In 2016, they were able to start their Indiegogo campaign after a large round of funding from a bunch of people. I mean, $5 million of funding in early 2016, and then also being able to lure in the CEO of Rootmetrics. So they were able to get that foundation. They had their visionary, they had their manager, they had their technician, they had everything that they needed, the triangle of management, and get them started on a good foundation. So that's when they kicked it off with Indiegogo, was able to raise about $600,000, which was 350 times more, or 350% more than they expected, or at least their goal was. So they were doing really, really fine in 2016, getting a ton of funding, and they just kind of had to roll with the punches and hopefully get the product out. So I think the anticipation was to get this product in 2017, but they reached a bunch of delays. Products never really came out. A bunch of angry customers over Indiegogo, and I didn't really hear about anything from them in a while after that. Proceeding from there, I think they got more funding in 2018. So again, they dropped off for a year, Yeah. 2018, Series B, $21.2 million. Large portion from Microsoft. So obviously Microsoft is trying to get a play on these interesting design, maybe throw it into their product line. I wonder if the Surface headphones got anything from this. But yeah, there's some oversight from Microsoft on this point. So you'd think that they'd be able to step up the game a bit, but they didn't. That the timeline basically just stops there. The only reason why, again, this came up to my mind is because I saw an ad for this in 2019 before the holidays, and that was surprising. That, like, again, they go through these hiatuses and then they pop up, and finally 2019, 2020 the product comes out. Interesting. So let's get into, like, that's just basically the timeline of everything you need to know. Like, started in 2015, finally got a product in 2020. What? But anyway, that is what all you need to know about the sort of progression so far. So let's get into the specifications and what they're promising. So again, I've never had these in hand, I've never listened to them, but there are just certain things about the design that already raise red flags for me. So I think just how it's structured and what I've seen in terms of how they fit onto your ears, they're not going to be the most comfortable things in the world. They have this spring-loaded clip that goes onto your ear, and then the whole headphone sits on your ear. Since they don't have any sort of earbud in there that'll securely fit that in, that'll probably be moving around a little bit. But also, that means that all that pressure of that clip is going to be on your ear. And since there's no headband to disperse the weights, like traditional headphones, it's just all on your ears and weighing them down. These may be light. Again, I don't know how they feel on head, but they may be light. I can't imagine that these would be comfortable for long listening sessions, because it looks like there's an over ear clip, and then that will put pressure there, that there's nothing on the bottom supporting it. So even if with those earmuffs that you saw, like that I mentioned earlier, like people that wear the earmuffs that are disconnected, those look stupid. First of all, that doesn't make that it's not something you should wear. So again, like, these would just look terrible as well. But even from those perspective, people fidget with those all the time, and they overheat and get annoyed with it. So I can't imagine that these would be good for headphones, especially things that are more weighted. There's just so much opportunity for ear fatigue. But the design also leads to sound issues that I can foresee. So because there's no earbud in there, there's no actual isolation. It's just a clip with a speaker that's sitting against your ear. At that point, there's no seal being made either from an in-ear or an over-ear perspective. On-ears probably do a better job of that, just because it has a full circle and it has the headband kind of bringing the whole structure together. These ones are just using the clip on the very top of your ear, not on the bottom. So there's no sort of seal that is created to sort of emphasize your music. As a result, I feel like these are just going to be tinny headphones. Like, I'm trying to think of other headphones I've tried and that have sort of things like that, and they just emphasize the highs and mids because they can't provide that boom because of the lack of a seal. I mean, the drivers obviously matter too, but in those instances I've seen, bass generally either becomes muted or it becomes extremely loose and not pleasurable to listen to. But that seal is also not just sound quality. That's also going to be an annoyance to everyone around you. Since it can't seal around your head, your ears, or on your head, or inside your ear, everybody in the world is going to hear your music. There's no way that sound leakage is going to be remedied unless there's some sort of feature I haven't seen on the human headphones. So that's going to be the other flaw that I see in this design. I mean, there's other things I can talk about, like touch sensitivity and stuff like that, but I mean, even Sony has some issues with that. As we've seen in the Neurophones, even they had some issues with like rain, so like I can't fault them for having maybe not the perfect touch panel, but I think in terms of just the overall design, those are just things that they should have considered from a sound perspective or a use perspective, and those red flags just are apparent even without trying them. So we've seen the specs and my initial thoughts, at least just on the first look of these things. But let's get into some of the reviews because I think it's very interesting based on what I was reading. So you get a big split between people that say it's the most revolutionary thing ever, like Lou, a guy that I don't really think you should value his opinion that much because it seems like he can be bought out. And then you get all people that are real, like Jim Caddy, even Linus Tic Tac Tips to an extent. They were just more real about the flaws of it. They were honest, they told what was good and what was bad. And as I read more reviews, I started reading the ones that were non-video. So like Medium example, they were pretty positive about these things. And what really irked me is I started reading this article that they wrote, and I think Roy Kim wrote it, but it just made me doubt it immediately. So example, it said 9 hours on the box, right? 9 hours battery life. Other reviewers have said that it's getting around 3. And so they don't know how that was replicated. They tried it on different modes, shutting off different modes just to make sure that it was a headphone only and not using it for calls. Still 3 hours. 2 hours or less if it's in the speaker mode. But here on Roy's review, it says that they boast a 9-hour battery life on full charge. I haven't been able to spend enough time with these yet to confirm that these last that long, nor how long it takes to get a full charge. Well, Roy, maybe you haven't spent enough time with the headphones to actually do a review. 9 hours? 9 hours isn't a long time. 9 hours is like a work day plus commute. Like, I don't know, like, usually with headphones I burn them in. You know, I use them for a long time the first day. I use them sporadically throughout the week. I really try to get a sense of it before I have a perspective. If he only tried this before it died, then he's never gonna see any of the issues with it. Like, that's my biggest thing is like you get a device and then you like test it for 2 hours. Those are like those people that play the video games, like those people that reviewed Cuphead and were frustrated by the starter level. But dude, you didn't even get into the game. You were just frustrated because you're a bad gamer. Like, this I think just shows lack of care. So I don't know how much I can use this review, but that's what I saw is that there's just a really big split, so you gotta be careful which ones you read. But what I want to do is go over what was purported in terms of the functionality they were going to deliver versus how it was in 2016, how that like the competitive landscape was going to be, and then also talk about what was actually delivered and if there was anything that could subplace some of that functionality. So the first one is social. It's the ability to listen to music with multiple individuals simultaneously. This is actually cool because if I was on a plane and I wanted to watch a movie with somebody, I could do that and we just pair our human headphones together and watch the same thing. So I don't think there's actually something like that right now for Bluetooth, at least. Obviously there's connectors. I think there's an adapter or two on Amazon that I saw that can do this, but obviously it's another dongle. If that was all set within the headphone, that's super convenient. So that's not something that they have today, nor in 2016. However, this never came to fruition. So they weren't able to accomplish this, so it was just like a fluff story or a fluff feature that they never delivered. So that's really unfortunate, but that was something that would have set them apart. The other thing that was a big thing that I saw in their reviews was that there's a huge latency issue. So even if
the outdated Bluetooth 4.2 connection and high latency. When I watch videos with these, the audio is noticeably out of sync. That is completely unacceptable.
And they probably don't have that aptX or aptX LL on there to compensate for video lag, or latency. Fade, noise cancellation system. 2016, Sony M1000Xs came out. And before that, Bose had been owning the industry on noise cancelling. So noise cancelling was definitely an option. From an over-ear perspective, on in-ear perspective, I believe there was some still too. Yeah, I think Bose had wired options. Again, not many true wireless options. Back then, headphones were still pretty wired together. That trend didn't really pick up until I believe 2018, maybe 2017. But yeah, like there was not. There was definitely plenty of competition that had this. the funny thing is they didn't even provide this in this headphone, so they don't have noise cancellation. Fade kind of went away, and that was the biggest complaint that a lot of people had, because again, things have evolved. We were on Bluetooth 5.0, we're on active noise cancelling as a standard almost now, so they didn't evolve with it, but they also just didn't deliver it in the first place, so that's bad. Amplify, this is the whole speaker system, throw them together, you get a speaker. So this is something that's actually interesting, because something that small that would become a Bluetooth speaker, there wasn't anything that back then. There might have been like these flip speakers. If I find the picture, I'll put it up here, but you could flip them out and then they would become a speaker and you could hear it. And I think those were like hot in high school when people wanted to be obnoxious, but I don't think that they still make them. We'll see. But anyway, I don't think there's anything that would meet this need now or even in 2016. However, Bluetooth speakers have come a long way, and if you really need a feature like that, it would probably be better a dedicated speaker anyway. An example is the Musin button. It's super tiny. It's smaller than all my other Bluetooth speakers, but still can pack a punch, especially for a picnic or like just a quick social circle. Like, this is great for a bonfire, I'm not gonna lie. So like, while that's a cool feature in having your headphones, this probably lasts longer and sounds better. In fact, it sounded tinny from what I saw in the sound samples of the speaker, so it's not impressive by any means. Definitely has no bass. Active. Get biometric values from your headphones. Why do you need this? Like 2016 again, they had Garmin's, they had Fitbits, they had all these different watches. They may have been more in their infant stages, but now they're great. And they can get your heart rate and all those sort of things through your ears. Initially, I was gonna crap on that, but apparently there's some science on it. I think MIT published an article in 2014 about how you could do that. However, the accuracy is something that I would highly doubt anyway, because that's like the last place that I would check my heart rate at is my ears. My throat or my neck, my wrist, my chest, obviously a ton of places. Doctors never check my ears for BPM. They do it for temperature and other things like that. But come on. Again, this is just a weird add-on that they put in. However, they didn't even deliver on that either. So there's been 3 features that they haven't put through here. Again, then we got Speak, translate 11 languages. I was skeptical on this from the beginning because it was very, like, based on who they had as the people behind the product. I couldn't see how they would build that translation logic into their headphone. So I didn't think it was gonna be proprietary anyway. But going into it, I think now, I mean, back then it was new and it was cool. I think Google had just put it into their Pixel Buds. However, it wasn't really that good. I mean, it's improved over time. 2020, it's doing much better. But even these headphones have it, but they're using Google, so they're not making their own. So essentially, they're trying to market a feature that's actually Google's feature. It's not their headphones feature. They can just access it. That's dumb, and I think that's misleading. And then lastly, it's sleep. So gently wakes you up. Again, I was gonna crap on this one too, but a lot of my friends use AirPods Pros to block out sound, especially if they have kids or something like that, and they're not on duty for a night shift. They will, block out sound, get some sleep, wake up in the morning. I think that's cool. Like, that's fine. This would probably been nice. I don't know how comfortable those would have been ear on ear with that clip, and then sleeping on it. Like, it's probably not as comfortable as something that's in your ear. And I can't imagine myself sleeping with it. It looks a little bit ridiculous. And then I guess the last feature is sort of what they couldn't do with active noise cancelling. It's called blend. So it's like kind of their way in of like adding the ability to stop any sort of isolation and let in sound so that you can hear what's going on around you. So they don't have active noise cancelling, but they have a transparency mode. So it's similar to like the Jabra 75T Elite Actives. However, yeah, I'm just gonna assume that it's not as good. The only really good thing that I've seen from the reviews are that the call quality is really good. So as I mentioned before, like the sound quality based on the isolation and all those sort of things probably is not going to be the best. It's probably going to be high and mid focused with very little bass. But as a result, call quality is super strong because it has the microphones that will pick that up, and it's very voice centric. However, based on some things that I've read, is because of the mics being very solid, they don't really do a really good job about blocking out other noise. So you can hear a lot of things going on in the background. So I would imagine that call quality from talking voice to voice in a silent room is probably really good, but you know, in everyday scenario, if you're walking around the city or if you're in a noisy office, it's probably not going to be ideal. So call quality, who knows, but pretty good, I guess, but nothing that I would rely on as like for the actual use case. So now that we've kind of gone over what they promised and what you actually received, aka a lot of things that you didn't receive with this package, let's get into commercials, because I think it's funny, because I think people in the Kickstarter started off with this and I think they offered up to $400, but the retail units ended up being $250. So I don't know how pissed off people are, but I did want to get into the actual commercials to show you the emphasis on what they're trying to sell you. Alright, so I kind of have this queued up, but I'm gonna watch the human headphones commercial from 3 years ago versus the one 9 months ago. So let's start with the first one.
In the beginning was big. Then came small. But now enters humanity. A purpose
why is he looking all sexily like that? That's creeps.
By the human body. We will once again discover
why I don't get it.
Sound.
My name is Benjamin.
I don't trust that dude.
Co-founder.
Anyway, so the first part is, I get it, it's human, it's like skin, it's bare, but like, why? What does that have to do with the fact that the headphone is the way it is? Like, they don't need to be naked for this.
Designers and engineers that have come
This dude sounds like a Chad.
To develop
To be honest,
extraordinary products.
we have the best designers. Totally. Like I mean, if he's smart, he's a programmer. He's definitely a programmer.
Noise from outside on the street is astonishing. The human ear to us is the best audio device in the world. We're building the second best.
I mean, I get that. That's dope. Okay. I get it. The human ear is the best. We're building the second best. I like the swag behind that statement. I do. It's just not, I don't believe it coming from him, but he tried. He tried. He committed to it. I like it. I like that. Like, none of this has to do with listening. This dude is just stretchy.
No touch commands.
Pick the most angry Asian dude. Why? Like, no one looks happy about what they're listening to. They all seem like they're pissed that they spent $400 on this.
Individuals can enjoy the same audio simultaneously.
See, like, that's cool if that actually worked.
Enjoy a fuller
There's so
sound.
much screwed in this issue.
For an even bigger sound, unite multiple.
See, like, if that happened, that would be dope.
Audio source.
For decades, we've been placing bulky and obtrusive designs on our head. We've been
See, I like this dude's delivery. It's more engaging. It's more real.
Towards a design
I like this dude's delivery.
Encapsulates the ear to create a fuller and more protected sound. Was to us.
No, I can't take him seriously.
Do things better than what.
Our final beta offering is
That looks ridiculous on ear. All these look ridiculous on ear.
and wakes you gently by alarm or playlist, all while tracking the quality of your sleep. Sound is made
Like, they found a really good way to make
relationship
an attractive
between
girl look
human
unattractive.
and the hardware. Sound includes an induction charging pad.
Yo,
Sound accommodates all
that looks
listeners,
bonkers.
4 sizes,
That looks wild. I would never wear these.
beautiful colors.
Chad, dude,
With
get someone else, dude.
Experience. And we're moving towards production. We're really asking you to.
Oh, they had a jump cut there. He couldn't get the whole sentence through.
This
Woof!
is our first of hopefully many.
No.
And on behalf of the entire team at Human.
Okay. So that was the 2000 what? 16, 17 one. Let's go with the one 9 months ago. Okay. Why? What? Yo, this is like, I get what, this is kind of like quirky, I get it, but this is like them trying to make like the most budget Old Spice Man commercial. Like they're trying to like bring in elements and make them show how cohesive it all is, but it's just like not executed well. Kind of like these headphones. Yo, wait, go back. They just splashed a little bit of sand on that, and then like that's a beach now. Out of like a solo cup, no less. Okay. Okay. That shows that. Oh, see, now you gotta spend all this time cleaning up. Oh, wait. They didn't even clean it up the right way. It's still dirty. You can see every sweep mark. Okay. Oh my god, business. Business, we have a deal. Business. They're talking in front of each other with this thing translating. I mean, okay, this is where it's like they've never been in a business meeting, dude. You have a VP from T-Mobile and Zune, like big corporations. You've been in multi-language companies before. This never happens. I don't need a translator to do a deal. Like usually, if there is a language barrier, there is a fluent person there to help facilitate that conversation. It's never like, oh, let me bring out my freaking human headphones and figure this out, because I'm not going to trust that translation in the first place. In a business deal, you need to know everything. You need to have all like the quirks and all that other stuff, all of the subtleties in fine text figured out. You do really want a phone doing that for you? Nah, son, nah. You're trying to get in trouble here. You're trying to get us all in trouble. They brought him back. They brought him back like the Rams coach. they swung him back. Oh, so they're gonna leave it with. They're gonna end this with cringe. End this with cringe. That didn't make me want to buy that at all. I kind of like the programmer better. But yeah, both marketing's kind of weird. I guess the first one is like a product introduction of like showing you everything. Here's all the cool features, and this one is kind of just showing you like day in the life. I get it. It's a logical breakdown, but I think they needed something a little bit more, especially after they lost the trust of their consumers, to show that they've grown. And like, I'm not even sure if the actual end product shows that, but at least in their marketing and their commercials, they need to purport that, hey, we've had this. You guys were interested back then, but we're bringing out this new device that has kept up with the new, and like really showing me something cool. But I don't see that at all through that. So yeah. I mean, I think that's all I gotta say about these headphones. So like, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up on these things. So human headphones, a wonderful example of an interesting idea with poor execution. It's just really unfortunate because, again, if their timing was a little bit better and they delivered on time, those would have actually probably been well received based on like the battery life, the true wireless nature. More people probably have tried that. However, the industry has evolved so much where everyone has true wireless offerings. They're very small, they're very compact, they're very light, they last much longer, and they have great technology behind them. So they're kind of lagging at this point. But if they had come out when that Indiegogo campaign came out, then they would have been ahead of the curve. So timing is really, really important in a lot of these things. But I know some of you may still be interested just because it's such a unique looking headphone. And I would, really just discourage you from doing that. It's not a headphone I can recommend, and what I've seen thus far, I'm not very impressed. And in fact, like usually, if it's very interesting, I will just try it. Throw some money at it and see if it's good. That's an example. That would be like the Zulu audio headphones I did. Those were strange, but those were also only like $40, so I could, you know, take a chance on these. These human headphones are more expensive, so I'm not gonna waste my money. However, there's plenty of reviews out there that will show you in-hand use of these headphones, and I encourage you to look at that before you make any sort of purchase. Again, don't follow this guy who says that this is a good headphone. I would suggest that you just don't listen to that guy. A lot of people have shown why his opinion isn't really valid. However, if you do need someone to be very honest with you, not be a hype man, I would extremely recommend you look at Jim Caddy or Flossie Carter.
Now I gotta be honest with y'all. These might be the worst sounding headphones that I've heard in the last 3 to 4 years. Alright, these headphones sound like fucking trash. Garbage.
Those two guys were very honest with it, straight up reviews, showed you everything that you need to know about it, and they'll at least be honest with you. So if you're still intrigued by these, I would suggest go look at their videos first. They're really good. However, that basically concludes this video. Again, next week, I promise you, I'll get you the Nuraloops. I promise. That's gonna be the priority for this week. We're gonna get him shot. We're gonna take him to the football field. Let's do this. However, until then, I hope you enjoyed what you watched. Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, doing all the things that you normally do on a video that you like and love. And I'll see you next week. Peace. Appreciate ya.